So welcome back to Leicester Fan TV, guys. This is the tactics talk for Fulham. After a 2-0 disappointing loss, the sixth on the row, we're going to have to try and change that around, Reedy, aren't we? It's a massive game.
Yeah, massive. Like I say, after the Palace game, it was not great, was it? So, and it was a 6-pointer against Palace, and we didn't get it. So now, as much as we said we'd probably be happy with a draw tonight, on tomorrow night, it's now a must win, and it's going to be hard. They're 8th place, so there's every chance we do lose it. But you've got to go in there fighting now, and if you don't get points against these, when are you next going to get the points? So yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's one of those games now. We're going to have to start picking up points. We really needed to pick up some points against Palace, and we're most definitely going to have to come away, I think, with nothing other than a win against Fulham. Otherwise, like you said, the next few games, I know you've got Spurs and you Liverpool's and whatnot, and your Chelsea's mixed into that, and Everton. It's another game which is coming up where you're going to need to get some points away. But there's a lot of big games where now coming up after Fulham, including Fulham, because I think they sit comfortably 8th in the Premier League, having a very good season for them. We are going to have to start getting some points, and can it happen? Who knows? Anyway, guys, get your comments in. We will talk about it. Obviously, we're going to do tactics talk and get our players in. Reedy, I guess I'm going to kick it off with, I'd be interested to see how we do play, considering that this will be the third game in 3 weeks, and we've virtually played the exact same team for QPR as we did for Palace. And Ruud van Nistelrooy said, the players' performances levels dropped towards the end of the Palace game, and he's the person in charge that decides that those players should be playing again. I expect it. I mean, we're probably going to have 2 different teams, but I expect that the players are going to have to be rotated, because I assume some of them are going to be a bit leggy and a bit tired, the ones that have played maybe 150 odd minutes in the past 4 days space. Maybe they're not feeling up to it. Players like Vardy and that, is he going to have the legs to carry on? We'll see, but we'll get into the teams. Really, you kick it off with who you want to play in your back 5. We'll do it this way. We'll do defence, midfield, and striking force. We'll do that in that order.
Yeah. So in goal, I think there's only one option. Again, since he's been in, I don't think there's been much issue really. So I'm going to go Stolisic in goal, if I can spell his name, if I can find him. I'll put Jack up in. Why not? Where is he? I'm going to not be able to find him. Someone help me with his name.
Can't spell his name. I've got his last name if you want me to put it in for you.
No.
Stolarczyk. CYYCZYK.
I've got him. I'll keep him in case you
need to help me with this spelling. It's not an easy surname to spell. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
There you go. Scott's put it in for us on the quick. I'm not. Is that? That's not right. You're close. You're close. So you can spell the name without googling it. That's some of the comments I can come in. Try and spell Stolisic without
I'm not even going to try. Yeah, Stolisic in goal again. Since Mads is not going to be available, he's the only man that is in for me. Left back again. I didn't think Christensen had a bad game, so I'm going to put him straight back in as well. Again, I don't think he did much wrong against Palace. And then right back for me, it's Koulibaly. And now he's actually officially announced. For me, he goes in. Yes, I don't think JT had that bad of a game. And why my computer's starting to be a bit thingy. Yeah, Koulibaly goes in for me. I know he's only going to have 1 training session, but you've got to change something to start winning ways. And you've got to start changing players in the team. Otherwise, if you keep playing the same team, the same faults are still going to happen. So for me, Koulibaly's in there.
Yeah, and I agree with you in some aspects. I think I'm probably going to end up changing it quite a significantly amount more to you. Should your defenders in there, really? Should your centre-back pairing in?
I think it's the same as last game. I think it's Vestergaard and Faye. Vestergaard for me is the first one on the team sheet in the defence for me. He has to be there. I know he's not probably the best, but on the ball, he's our best player.
Says a lot really about defence, doesn't it? The first name on that team sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
First name for the centre-back.
Exactly, but then in the style we play, I think he suits really well. But the only difference, I think if he had like 30% extra pace, I think he'd be not world class, but I think he'd be very, very good for us compared to what people rate him because he's how slow he is. So That is the difference for him. That's why he's at Leicester and not a Chelsea or a Man City, because he hasn't got the pace, in my opinion. And then left, I'm gonna go Faze again. I don't think he really did much wrong again against Palace. He's shown his quality again for me going into the next game. So for me, it's Faze.
Yeah, you say I think we're in this position now that the back four is starting to find itself. Whether we're very happy with that. I mean, I look at that team and it doesn't build me with confidence, especially against a team like Fulham. But we don't have much choice going into it. Let's get a couple comments up. Let's see. Nigel Lloyd is saying, instead of selling Callan out on loan again, why not play him? Well, I believe the rumours are we brought him back, so we're going to sell him for about 13 million to either Sunderland or Sheffield United. So, we're going to try and make a few million quid back in him and free up a spot maybe to sign a new attacking-minded player in the team. I'll go on to my team then. I'll go on to my defence. Against Stolicic in goal. Hopefully Reedy copy and pasted his names. Yeah, there you go. So he doesn't have to retype it. But yeah, Stolicic, it didn't have anything to do against Palace, to be honest with you. Palace were not much of a threat going up front. But they still managed to score the two crucial goals that gave them all 3 points. And it wasn't Stolicic's fault. I don't think it was much of anything other than, a couple of heads switched off. Obviously, McAteer, from start to finish, for their second goal was, he lost the ball, gave the free kick away, and wasn't marking Gahey enough. So that's just, an unfortunate result when we really needed 3 points, and it's deflating for the players, I imagine. But Ruud needs to really turn it around in these next couple of days of training and talking about how we can get something against Fulham, because I expect Fulham to go all out. They're away. They're on good form. They've got a very good strike force, with Smith Rowe up there bagging in a lot of goals and assists for them this year. He's on 5 for them. I imagine he's going to come and try and do the same against us. So that's probably why I'm going back to, not back to, but I'd like to see a 5 at the back with wing backs. I would really like to chop out those wingers in my team, because I just don't think they're doing enough. So I'll start in the middle. I'm going to put Cody again. I am going to put Cody back into my team after the game. Like I said, I think Vestergaard and Fies, they looked okay, for their standards. It's hard to comment on just how poor we have been in the defence, but it looked okay against Palace in the defence. But there was still a lot of errors we made that Palace just didn't capitalise on. Yeah, I could probably name off the top of my head 5, 6, 7, 8 mistakes where we gave the ball away and from the defence and midfield, just where it was all around not good enough. So if we do that against Fulham, who are on way better form, they are going to capitalise and they'll end up scoring more than just 2 goals. So Cody back in my team. I'm going to go Vestergaard on the left and Fies on the right. Virtually, I think it is probably the same style that I put in for the Palace game. So I'm going to stick with that back 3 again. And for me, I just think I'd like to see Ruud change it up. I would like to see him change these players and, make a little bit of a difference in the game, because I felt like in the first half against Palace, we looked okay and we did look the better team. But they came out, their manager actually did something. He did some proper game management, as I think Ruud should have been doing, and managed to change it around and gave them 2 goals and 3 points. And we didn't know how to defend it from there. So I am hoping that we go into this game with a little bit of a different game plan. I guess I'll move into my wing backs as well, because I guess they're part of my defence. Left wing back, again, Christensen, fairly solid. Few mistakes. Obviously there was a big chance which he gave the ball away, trying to play it cute in the first half, which Palace should have really capitalised on. But again, it shows you their kind of form, that they're not capitalising some of their big chances. Yeah. So we got away with that one, but apart from that, I think he's been fairly all-round decent. And I agree. Players Koulibaly, I think if you're going to sign someone, like you say, if the team's got to change, we're going to have to start playing these newer players. And I'd shove him straight in. I can imagine Justin might be a bit leggy for the Fulham game after playing, I think virtually most minutes against QPR and also Palace. So yeah, Koulibaly comes into my team. We signed him. We're gonna need those fresh legs.
Yeah, go on the midfield then. I'm gonna go straight for it. I think Soumaré again. As much as people didn't rate him as highly against Palace, I still think he's probably one of our best midfielders as of now. So he goes straight back in for me. And this is where I feel like maybe we need to change the midfield up a tiny bit. And do I change it for someone else other than Winks? I don't know, because I don't think I think at times he lost the ball as well, but I don't know who could replace him, to be honest, at the moment.
Yeah, that's the situation we're in. I don't think there is many better choices
No, there
than
isn't.
Winks,
There's
even
Winks.
though Winks
This is
isn't
going to be.
doing.
This is hard because we do
Yeah.
this show every week, and it's getting to the point now where we are picking the same players because firstly we haven't got any bench players to rotate, and then second of all we don't have a better player than what we've got in the team. So
yeah, I mean, there's about 2 weeks left of the transfer window. So if we're going to see someone to come in, we really need to see it now. Just going to pull up Mark's comment there. He says drop Winks. I mean, I guess Mark, I'm going to throw it back to you and say, well, who do you play instead of Winks? Because I don't think Skip's any better. I think we would all rather have Ndidi in there, but he's still out injured for the foreseeable future. We don't know how long.
I think
he's back.
I think there's maybe a tiny case, and people are going to be like, why would you do that? But to be a bit more defensively solid, I think I wouldn't be annoyed if Chowdhury was in there. Don't get me wrong, he's not to the quality we need. But when you need that fighting spirit, you need that just to get stuck in player. And I think that's what Chowdhury does give you in the Leicester City shirt. So I wouldn't be too opposed to have him in that team. But other than that, yeah, there's just no one.
Yeah, like I say, I get the comments about Chowdhury. I think he plays with a decent amount of passion on him. I mean, rumours of him leaving. Obviously, it's not happened yet, if it is true, but he has been left out of the team the past few games. Thought he might make an appearance against QPR at the very least, but he didn't. So don't really know what's happening with Chowdhury. And again, all of us fans, I've seen some comments in the chats about put Chowdhury in there, play these plays, play that plays. But I think we know that Rude isn't going to do that. So, I mean, this is what we would like to see. If it was me, I think Winks. I didn't think Winks was too bad against Palace. I didn't see him do much right. I didn't see him do much wrong. So, it's just kind of middle of the lane park kind of player. So I will put Winks back into my team. He did make some blunders against QPR, but I struggled to see, who else you're playing. I get if you want to play Chowdhury, but in my team, I think that might be a little bit too defensive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to stick, what would effectively be 7 defensively minded players for most of the time if I put Chowdhury in there. So Winks and Samari for me again. Yeah, Samari. He definitely made quite a lot of mistakes against Palace. I'm not going to lie, it was not one of his better games. Again, the plays around him not really helping him, but there was just little times. And again, I always come back to, I think it's how we're trying to play. I don't think these players they have the good enough quality to do it. Even against a team like Palace, where we were both trying to pass it out from the back, even they were, and both teams were just causing mistakes. And I said to Phil, I turned to him and said, this is just 2 bad teams battling out, and it's the first one to make a mistake, really, that who's going to concede. Palace gave the ball away a lot, and we had some good chances, and as it's shown in the past 8 odd games, we just don't know how to capitalize on that for God knows what reason. None of the attacking minded players are really stepping up. So that's just Phil coughing in the background. I don't know if you heard that.
I think everyone heard that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's who I'd put in anyway, Reedy.
Fair enough.
That's how I'd play, like I said.
Go back to my team then for the attack. Again, I know it's the same old thing every week at the moment, but again, when you haven't got any replacements or any new players coming in, I think you've got to stick the same lot. Unfortunately, I mentioned it a lot on Wednesday.
Wednesday? What day are we on? It's confusing.
Friday. It's Friday today. Yeah, it's Friday today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot on Wednesday about I was an admirer of Ndidi's talent, but he's not putting anything into the games, and he might make a skillful move. Mavididi, sorry, yeah. He might make a skillful move and make it look like he's good, but then completely loses the ball, or he has a great opportunity to go at his defender and then just stops and just passes it inwards. For me, he's just getting a bit annoying now to watch. But who is there to replace him? So it's hard, and I would like to replace him with a player that hopefully comes in, but right now I don't think there's any other choice. So I'm going to go El Kanous in the middle. I don't think he had a bad game against. If he wants to show me the El Kanous on here.
I mean, I'm just going to pull up this comment whilst you do that. I think this is a great comment from Scott. Question for us: do you pick quality over desire, passion? as to be honest, I think the fans need to see more passion from these players. Scott, that is a great question. I can't name you one player that's playing out there with passion for us, really. I don't think anyone's going out there and really wants us to go out there and win. I think as soon as we go and concede, the heads drop. I couldn't tell you really one player that wants to go out there and play for passion, because I think
El Kanous shows you.
I don't think he plays for passion. I think he's okay with his feet, but I see passion from players like Christensen and Chowdhury, at best. But from everyone else, I don't see it.
I think the worst person you can see it in. I think the worst player you can see that in is Mabadidi. Honestly,
he's definitely one of the
moment he doesn't get up about his man. I know you've said this many times. The moment he doesn't beat his man and he doesn't get his way, he just drops. He just doesn't even care anymore. He doesn't look like he wants the ball when he gets passed to it and then he passes it back again. He just doesn't really want to do anything to help the team out, and that's what's starting to get on my nerves. Like, don't get me wrong, in that 1 minute of the 90, he could do something special and somehow score a goal or set a goal up like he did for Vardy's goal nearly against Villa. I think it was Villa or someone else. Trying to think now. But yeah, he put ball in again. Good chance. Vardy fluffed it, but that's the case now. It's annoying, but I am going to put Mavadidi in there, if I'm totally honest. As much as I just want to get any player in there to take his spot, because it's just getting annoying to watch now. But who else have we got to play? That's the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where obviously in my team I've flipped it around. I'm not playing the two wingers, so they're going to go into midfield. It's El Kanous and Buonanotte for me. They'll push them back as two cams. Like I said, I think the wingers this season, I mean, even pre-Fatu getting injured, none of them are really stepping up to the plate. So I've said for the past, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks, especially since Rudes took over and we played these harder games, that something's got to change. And for me, that starts with the formation. And I think when you look at these players, I mean, we've flip-flopped a lot between, I mean, apart from Mavadidi, because like you say, he's the only left winger, so who else should play? But on the right side, we've flip-flopped a lot between Ayew, Bobby Reed at times, McKenzie here in that team.
This is where, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Ayew starting, if Buonanotte, with both cams on both to start, and we add Ayew as well, I'd be fine with it. It's when we drop one of the two cams for Ayew. That's where, for me, it just gets frustrating, because you're losing out on the creativity. It's when we bought them off against Palace, when we bought both of them off, you're basically saying we've just took all the creativity out of the game. Don't get me wrong, we did have a few chances after that, but you just lose the creativity.
We had 5 minutes of, I think, what you would call fresh legs against maybe a tired Palace team. But I don't think we actually offered a massive amount. We had a good chance with Daka, who, whiffed his shot a little bit, wide of the post, should really be trying to get that on target. But say the same for Vardy, couldn't you, in the first half? 3 or 4 big chances.
Vardy could have had a hat-trick.
Yeah, it whiffed the chances. And they're the kind of things that do, they all pile onto this whole debate of, because I know that I've read comments and stuff over the weekend of people saying it's all Rude's fault, and people saying it's all the players' fault, and it's Rudkin. And
I think the problem is it's not.
It's all of it.
It's not one player. It's not one player, like one individual's fault.
I think it's all of it. Like we were saying in the car, we were agreeing on a lot of points about the issues, and Rude's game management against Palace and in the prior games, I don't think it's been good enough. I think it shows that doesn't really know what he's doing in a relegation scrap. I think the players' quality isn't as good. I think you can tell that some of these players are championship players and not ready for a proper Premier League battle. I mean, look at Ipswich. They go from League One to Premier League, and at least they're fighting to stay up there. They are playing with passion. And it's just hard. And like you say, the board, I mean, obviously chance out for Rudkin out, wasn't there, at the weekend, and stuff's just not going right all around at the club. We are sat second bottom with another defeat, and it's hard to say how do we go forward from here, because it's not very easy. But we will move on to our strikers, and like you say, it's just a mess all around.
I've already put mine in, mate. If there's only one choice, Vardy is the man. As much as we know he's fluffed a load of chances recently, if you can't even trust Daka with them chances, can you? Say you've got to put the main man in, and I'm guessing you're going to do the same as well.
I would have if he hadn't just played 2 games. I think at his age, I think if we played him against Fulham, and again, this is me saying for Rude, I think it was bad game management to start him against QPR because he's not going to be as fit. At 38 years old, we've heard some of the stuff that after games he has to take a day or two off training and just rest because he needs to let his body recover. That happens to these players as they get older. For me, I think we made a mistake playing him against QPR because that really should, even with Daka up top, we should have beaten them. So for me, I'm going to have to start Daka. As much as I would want it to be Vardy, I don't think Vardy's going to be fit enough. I think he played the whole game, didn't he, against Palace virtually? I think he's going to be a bit leggy.
Yeah.
To have what's virtually from that point on, a 56 to 60 hour rest point to the next game. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he's going to be able to fit to do it. And look at some of the comments Richard obviously saying here. Vardy let us down in the last 3 home games. I think someone said that Vardy's had a good few big chances. He's missed maybe 6, 7, 8 big chances in the last 4 or 5 games, which is obviously critical. And when your main man Vardy, who is the best player in this team still, even at his position and his age, is still the best player at Leicester City at the moment. If he's not firing on all forms and can't bag in the goals, it's not good enough. And I think it is showing, isn't it? And it's not Vardy's fault necessarily if he can't bag the goals. You got to look at players like Daka and even Edouard, who's not in the team. It's like, these young players, they're not stepping up to the plate. It's hard to go from there. And we'll put some comments in. Terence, I think, agreeing with me for once. I think that's the first time. I'll put it on here live so you can see it. But yeah, shouldn't have started against QPR game. Mark saying Vardy needs to come into impact sub. I agree with that. I think his role for Saturday against Fulham is impact. Scott saying here, I think he starts Ayew up front against Fulham. Really, let's talk about Ayew. Let's have a quick minute about Ayew because his just before we end the show, Ayew obviously very friendly towards the end of that Palace game, and I know that sparked a lot of fans. I think the fans were booing him towards the end of the game. I think they were booing him when he went over to Palace fans and was going like this and pointing to them. And to be honest with you, I think it's a little bit wrong when that's the 6th game in a row loss, and your players more interested in going over to his old team than actually recuperating with the team he's at now. I mean, that's just my view on it. I think if you want to do that kind of thing, save it for the tunnels, because I think he was all chatty, smiley with the Palace players when realistically we're in a massive struggle at the moment. And, we need players to be absolutely focused and know what the end goal is of us going down or staying up and what that, can prosper for us. But we saw it against Man City, Winks and Pep Guardiola having a good chinwag after the game. And it's like, lads, you just lost 2-0. Come on.
Yeah. Go on then, Sam. Very quick score prediction before we finish.
I mean, if it's anything like it was against Palace, I think we're going to get slapped, to be honest with you. Fulham are a way better team on way better form. They're way better structured than Palace are, at least this season anyway. Their attacking force is incredibly good this year. Yeah. And their defence is very, very sound. I mean, Ben's pretty much taking the words out of my mouth there with a 3-0 to Fulham. Could that happen? Very easily. I guess it depends which Leicester wants to turn up, Reedy. The bad Leicester. The bad Leicester or the really bad Leicester, as Phil says. We haven't turned up to any games. I guess I'm kind of avoiding the question, but my head is always a Leicester win, 2-1. But my heart is really saying, I think if we walk away with it being 2-0 or 3-0 to Fulham, then that's probably a more realistic result, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people are agreeing. Mark Lanningham saying that, and then Richard obviously talking about Ayew. Yeah, there you go. Like I said, Ayew didn't know Ayew did that. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that some of these players don't know the reality of the situation we're in. A bit like 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure going to Seagrave and having that nice facility and then going back to it's not reality for them. And I think that shows on the pitch at times that difference to it. I think they're in way too much luxury over there and way too much money. God knows what, Reedy. But anyway, your score prediction, go for it.
2-2. It's not going to be good enough, 2-2. But I'm taking a 2-2. It's not going to be good enough, but we'll take it. It is what it is. Yeah,
I mean, a point's better than nothing. Get us out of that losing streak. I mean, the big question is, Reedy, what happens if we do end up losing 7 in a row? Because then who's the next game after that?
Spurs
away. I mean, let's be honest. that's no cakewalk. Even though they're not in the best of forms, that's going to be a very, very tough game. Mike Rook with the last comment of the day before we end the show. We've passed halfway through the window and we have 3 million right back. Rude says the recruitment team is working round the clock. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're working absolutely around the clock and not just watching YouTube in the background whilst they do their odd job every now and then. God knows what's happening at the moment. Obviously, I'm sure money situation doesn't help, but there's a lot of players out on loan still. There's a lot of players that we paid to not. I mean, Edward, we're paying at least half his wages, which is about 45 grand a week.
Yeah. And
he's played 25 minutes of Premier League football. So is what it is. Reedy, thank you for joining us. We are going to end the show now. Obviously, these are our teams. Reedy's just going to have a quick flick through. That one's Reedy's. And this one is when he gets it up. That one's mine too. Again, Reedy sticking fairly similar to the Palace game. I'm going back to what I said for the Palace game with 3 at the back and 2 wing backs. So thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you on the next show, which will be Jamie's show on Sunday, to obviously talk aftermath after the Fulham game. So see you all then.
Cheers.